Welcome to Galcom's Mission Compass podcast. To learn more about Galcom and our guests today, visit galcom.org.
I didn't realize I had dark sunglasses on until I took them off with your post-abortion support program. I didn't realize that my life was tainted by this lens of darkness.
Hello, friend. Welcome to Galcom's Mission Compass, your guide to the Great Commission. I'm Ron Harris. On today's Mission Compass, we want to update you on what Galcom is doing around the world and also connect with a ministry partner who, like Galcom, is making waves. Where do you fit in the Great Commission? Well, keep listening. We may have an answer for you. And here's your host, Galcom's Tim Whitehead.
Well, friends, here on the Mission Compass, we want to get you involved in the Great Commission. We want to point you in a way to serve. And to that end, we have Lydia Nigh from SIM. She's a missions mobilizer with some opportunities to serve. Lydia, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tim.
So, someone sitting there saying, I can't be a missionary, I can't translate a Bible, I don't want to go to Africa. What does SIM have available right now that you have needs for people to get involved? Maybe something unique or different that we would commonly think as missions.
Yeah, just want to say, Tim, that SIM is an international, interdenominational missions organization. We are in about 70 different countries, so the numbers of opportunities are vast. They're huge. And really it's about, how do you choose? And I just want to say, too, that one of the things that I love about SIM is that we are very culturally diverse group. And so we have more than 4,000 workers in 70 countries from 60 different nations serving with SIM. So you might think, I don't know anybody who's a missionary, like nobody in my family or even in my culture. Well, we'd love to introduce you to some people, maybe from your own ethnic background or culture that is part of SIM. And so we get involved in all kinds of things. But, my colleague and I were sitting thinking, where are the really high level needs right now? And there's 6 areas of urgency. So let me get started.
All right.
So when we think of areas of urgency, South Asia has the highest unreached population in the world. I think you must know this, 1.7 billion people. And the majority of people are Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains. And the evangelical believers, the percentage is so small, almost 0% in some countries. And in India alone, there are 1.4 billion people and only 2.3% would say they are Christian. And that's of every type of Christian. So half of the world's unreached people groups are in this region in South Asia. It just kind of breaks your heart. And the fact is that there's so much need for people to go to this area. We work in 5 out of 6 countries in this region. We do leadership development. We do project management. And so we go from the high level positions to just everyday people working with kids in after school programs, helping HIV patients, working with people coming out of transgender issues, out of human trafficking, and of course, working with the local churches. So that's one urgent area. Another urgent area is for creative access workers. So professionals and entrepreneurs who can live out their faith at work through their businesses, through their business ventures. And most of these workers focus on Central Asia, Middle East, and North Africa, where almost all these countries are closed to the gospel. And almost 1 billion Muslims live in this area. So Central Asia, Middle East, and North Africa. If you have a heart for this region and you are a professional or you're an entrepreneur, we'd love to hear from you.
What kind of professions? Are you looking for accountants? Are you looking for nurses? Are you looking for?
Yeah. If you're a high level, highly skilled medical worker, there's huge need, and you can get in anywhere.
Okay.
There's visas open to you if you are at a high level like that. But in addition to that, We have several businesses already started. So if you're interested in coming to work with those businesses, we have openings for people doing that. We have an initiative called Faithful Witness, which is where we send in multi-skilled and multicultural teams, and they go in together and they serve together. So you never work on your own. We always provide that support and that community for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So the third area of need that we thought of, you wouldn't think that this would be a huge need, but it is. So unexpectedly, we need people with administrative skills.
All right.
This includes project managers, project coordinators, financial managers like bookkeepers and treasurers, IT technicians, human resource and personnel coordinators, and of course, the ever needed administrative assistants. We need all those roles filled in all the countries where we have offices, 70 countries. And so you can imagine, it's such a delight to invite people in who say, I have some administrative experience. I love sitting behind a desk. Put me to work. So come and see what we've got for you. The fourth area that we identified is a very specific profession, and that is teachers. So we have opportunities for teachers to serve short-term and long-term. We have 15 partner schools around the world that some of them have been established. They've been around for a long time. These are Christian schools for day students and boarding students. They invite national kids as well as missionary kids from all over the world. In addition to these traditional Christian education institutions, there's a need for people to come alongside homeschooling families. And so we have a request right now out of Liberia. There's some homeschooling families there that need a professional teacher to come in and serve that community and serve those families. We need teachers who can teach any subject at every level, preschool, primary, and high school, and including things like art, sports, music. Okay, so if you think, what I do isn't relevant, that's not true. Every skill is needed in the mission field today. And then one specific country that we identified is South Sudan. And who wants to go to South Sudan? If you're putting up your hand right now, we would love to talk to you. Our South Sudan team is very small because of the wars that have ravaged this country. It is just a very, very difficult place to work. But if you're not afraid of hard work in difficult places, there are many positions currently open. And these include a personnel director, a health program director. If you're a pilot, you need medical staff, trauma counselors, refugee workers. And if you have experience as a high-level manager in a mission organization or high-level manager in a business, someone who has vision, who has those administrative and leadership skills, we are looking for a deputy director in South Sudan.
Okay.
And finally, we have a very specific ministry that's urgent, and it is actually in a major city in Canada. So there is a densely populated neighborhood in one of our major cities with 30,000 Somalis. And Somali refugees have overcome incredible hardship, so much difficulty, just overcoming barriers to get to Canada. And when they arrive here, they just get absorbed by this community. They go to where people know their language, culture, their religion.
Right. Yep.
But we have a missionary couple who has spent almost 20 years working in this community, creating inroads and loving these people and being loved in return. And they do this through friendship, through ESL classes, running a homework club, an interesting thing, a bike ministry. And so they have been asking for several years now. They said, please, do you know anybody who would love to repair bikes and just love on people, to come and work with them? Honestly, this couple is past retirement age and they're experiencing health issues in their family. They don't even know I'm talking about them right now. But they would say, we need team members to come and help us as we mentor and coach them and introduce them to the community. They don't want to let go of this ministry because it's so important. There's so much at stake here. Yeah.
So we're talking to everybody from bike repair to executive level to doctors. Guess what, friends? You're qualified. So the big question is, Lydia, where do they start? And does SIM help? Because everybody knows missionaries got to raise support. So SIM helps with that. And where do they go to get the help and get more information on these specific roles?
Yeah. So right from the point of inquiry, and we're going to put a link somewhere in your show notes, I think.
Yep.
It's just sim.ca/connect-with-us/. So sim.ca, connect with us. And if you just go to sim.ca, you'll see a place to connect. Just click on the button. You can connect with us right from the point of inquiry. So we have a team at SIM that will walk alongside with you to help you. And that includes me. So I'm a mobilizer with SIM here in the British Columbia area. And so if you're in BC, I'm the one that you'd be connecting with. And we have people across Canada to connect to you. All of our missions workers are encouraged to, yes, fundraising is a big piece. And so all of us are encouraged to develop a team of ministry partners who pray and who give financially. And we provide training in fundraising, and we mentor those who are our candidates who, during their preparation time, we journey with them, not just in fundraising, but also just in their life and in their faith. And I always talk about life, faith, and relationships, that we want to see people healthy. And so we have a mentor program that journey with newcomers, and for the first year on the mission field and even beyond, we mentor and journey with those folks. One of the ways that we journey with people is praying with them. Our biggest tool, our motto in SIM is by prayer. So in praying with them, alongside with them, we are seeing God answering amazing prayers and getting people out to the mission field in record time, even during COVID. I shouldn't have said that word. But and we also provide a dedicated care support to families with children. We have an MK, or missionary kid care coordinator, who actually connects personally with the missionary children who are part of our mission.
Lydia, this is why I wanted to have you on, because you have just removed every barrier and excuse to serving in mission. You need all skills. You've got everything else planned. You're going to mentor, help, walk alongside people. So for our friends listening in Canada, sim.ca, connect with us. For our US friends, sim.org. You can look on the list of all those opportunities, find the one where you fit. Like a big giant jigsaw puzzle, there's a piece missing, it's you. sim.ca, sim.org. Contact them today. Lydia, thank you so much for joining us here on the Mission Compass.
Thank you, Tim.
It was strange advice to give to a college-bound son. Don't let them change your name. I'm Bonnie Sala with Reset. He had done it. Layla's son had been accepted into a world-renowned university. He'd be living on a campus of over 32,000 students. But Layla knew her Bible and recognized an application. Scripture tells of 3 of the best and brightest young Hebrew men who'd been taken captive to Babylon. Their names were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, which means respectively, God is gracious, who is like God, and God has helped. The Babylonians wanted them to assimilate into the Babylonian culture and gave them Babylonian names of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When offered the king's food and wine, the 3 stuck to the vegetables and water that had made them healthy and strong. More than that, however, the Babylonian king wanted them to bow down and worship a gold statue or be thrown into a flaming furnace. They refused, saying, "If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty. But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up." Into the furnace they went, and right out of it they walked, unsinged. Every Jesus follower will face a Babylon in life, which is why Scripture urges, don't let the world squeeze you into its own mold, but let God mold your minds from within. Or, as Layla counseled her son, Don't let them change your name. I'm Bonnie Sala with Reset. To hear this again, read or share this, or to find more resources like this, visit guidelines.org.
Speaking with Lois Benham-Smith, the director of the Atwell Center. 10 years here in Hamilton, close to our Galcom offices, and a new office in Oakville, about 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on traffic around here, up the road here. And so you're growing as an organization, growing as a ministry, caring for people in crisis pregnancy, but not just in crisis pregnancy, but aftercare. Share some stories about people on maybe both sides of the decision when it comes to crisis pregnancy.
Yeah, again, it's about support and it's about information and being there. So if a couple decides to continue with their pregnancy, we have a baby boutique, which is stocked by the love of our churches, of our donors. So we have children's clothing size 0 to 2. People can come back once a month for diapers and wipes and ongoing support seen by our registered social workers. We also have post-abortion support. Women and men have made choices in the past that you can't go back, as we all know. And so what does that look like going forward? And so we are here to unpack some of that. It's called disenfranchised grief with our post-abortion support. So we walk through what happened and how can we go forward? And what does that look like? Forgiveness in the Lord, as well as, grieving that loss of a baby, that loss of the pregnancy. And what does that look like? And then there's, hope afterwards. We have had women that have processed their abortion 30 years later and literally said to us, I didn't realize I had dark sunglasses on until I took them off with your post-abortion support program. I didn't realize that my life was tainted by this lens of darkness. But it's grieving, a heartfelt loss.
You shared with me the story of two different couples earlier. Would you share them with our friends listening?
Yeah, so recently we saw two different couples, and they were both in their 20s, fairly stable relationship. One of the couples was fairly new in their relationship. We'll call Jane and Peter. And Jane and Peter came in and both quite abortion-minded. We went through all of their pregnancy options and explained to them all of their options, and then invited them into, if they would like, a point-of-care ultrasound assessment. And even after seeing the ultrasound, had decided that they decided to continue with their abortion plan. Our nurse followed up a week later with Jane and said, Jane, how are you? And she said, well, Peter and I went to the abortion clinic, and as the doctor was handing me the pills to end the pregnancy, I looked at Peter and I said, I can't do this. And he looked back at me and said, neither can I. And we left the clinic without taking the pills. And I'm just so thankful for your support. Thank you so much. Well, of course, we're rejoicing with Jane and Peter, and we're committed to supporting this young family and with our client stabilization program that we have going forward. And we just love that story. Around the same time, we also had another couple that came in, and same sort of situation. Their relationship was, I think, a little bit more stable, but they had decided to end their pregnancy. And they called back, actually. And Omar called back and said, yeah, you had said that, some people have issues with their abortion afterwards. And we didn't realize that it was going to hurt this way and hurt so bad. Can we come in? And it was, well, we're so sorry that you're feeling this way, but sure, come on in. We absolutely would love to see you and be here for you after. So it's very complicated. We make choices that we don't always understand the full portent of those choices. And we want to be there for Omar and his girlfriend, Jennifer, let's call her, and Jane and Peter too. So we're there for women and men at the well.
And that's a real example of what we talked about earlier about the third way. There's no judgment. There's no politics. It's people in crisis that need someone to bring them through, people with information. I don't know how many times we've said the word information so far in our conversation. Just the media, the world at large, our governments are saying this is the way it is, and we don't know all the information. And so this is why I'm really excited too. Another part of your ministry is what you call SHARE, where you're going out to people and giving more information. Explain SHARE about the SHARE program.
Yeah, so SHARE is short form for Sexual Health and Relationship Education. So we go to community groups, youth groups, and schools, and we talk about what a healthy relationship is and sexuality. And we live in a very challenging time for educators, for parents, for kids in so many different ways. And so our program is very holistic in that we talk about anatomy and physiology. What's down there? How does it work? And then that leads us into fetal embryology, developing baby, and then pregnancy options. If you're an unplanned pregnancy, what does that look like? And then we also talk about sexting and consent and pornography and relationships. What's a healthy relationship look like? These big items that kids have to be aware of, as well as adults too. We've done presentations with adult groups too, and just understanding what consent is today. So again, it's that education piece as well as critical thinking. What does that mean for me? And I don't think I mentioned, but we do have part of our medical clinic as well is an STI or sexually transmitted infection testing and treatment. So all members of our community needing our services come in for testing and treatment, and we're holistic in our approach in our STI clinic as well. So we have an opportunity to ask about relationships, healthy relationships, talk about faith, and, do you have a religious affiliation or spiritual journey, and what does that relationship look like? Again, non-judgmental, just asking questions, and it's all client-led.
Yeah, we need to understand that we are a whole person. We can't separate what we do physically with what happens to our emotions and to our mental state. And so this is so important for young people. You were recently at our main university here in Hamilton asking questions of students. And you asked kind of the question, what would they want to know if they were, as a 14-year-old, what question is it that they wanted to ask? And what were the answers that they were giving you?
By and large, it was really interesting. I think they said that 72% of the 500 kids that we saw that day and we asked, the question is, what would you have liked to have known as a 14-year-old? And 72% of them said, I would just have liked to have a conversation about sex and relationships. Wow. We had another young woman say, I wish I knew it was okay to have said no. Again, back to our talk about consent. Other conversation piece was, I wish that I knew back then that talking about sex and relationships wasn't taboo, that it was okay to talk about these things. And I wish that I knew about STIs, a huge educational piece that we need to do. And that's what we're committed to doing here in our schools and our presentations, as well as in our STI clinic.
I have 5 children, 4 kind of adult children, 1 younger. This is a terrifying conversation. It's a very uncomfortable conversation to have with your kids because it's open and personal and vulnerable. And so it's great that you are here with resources and information, that there is someone we could send our kids to or get information from as parents to be able to share with our kids. So if someone needs information as a parent, if there's a church group, a youth pastor listening that says, I'd love to have you guys come to our church and do a presentation, this is way over my head. If it's someone in crisis, if it's someone in a church says, man, I wish I could help out with this, how do people get in touch with you? Website, phone number, all that kind of information.
So yeah, we actually do a presentation to parents. So we help parents educate the educator, if you will, right? Parents have a huge effect on their kids. And parents sometimes think, oh, well, they don't really care about what I say. Actually, they care a lot about what you think. You are still the main contributor to your kids, just to be encouraged parents. I'm a parent too. So I understand the discomfort. It totally is. So we are trying to help parents navigate these challenging waters as well. But yeah, we would love to have conversations with you too. Our website is atwellcenter.ca, ATWELL, center spelt the Canadian way, and .ca, as well as Hamilton, 905-393-8525 is our phone number, and that can get you through to our Oakville office as well. So yeah, we're really excited. 10 years here in Hamilton, and now another 10 years at least here and in Oakville as well.
Lois, I really appreciate, coming through, touring your facilities. This is a very welcoming place. Your staff has been welcoming. You have been. There's been such grace and gentleness. And you could just see that the rooms are set up, even where the ultrasound is. Everything is just this quiet, gentle place where I can come that's safe. And so, friends, I know crisis pregnancies happen within the church. Contact Atwell Center. Talk to somebody, get the information you need. And friends, if you want to help with this problem on the front lines, don't do the political route. Don't take a picket sign. Come alongside Lois and the team. Help them out. Support them as they reach out to people in desperate need of help and information and ultimately of Jesus. Lois, really appreciate the time you've given me today. We pray blessing over your ministry here. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks again for joining me this morning, Tim. It's been just a delight, and I just really appreciate your time and your ministry too. Galcom is a wonderful ministry that we fully support, so thank you.
Well, friend, we're at the end of our program today. You've been listening to Galcom's Mission Compass, your guide to the Great Commission. There are many ways to partner with us. To find out more, visit our website at galcom.org. That's Galcom, spelled GALCOM.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm Ron Harris. Thanks for joining us today on Mission Compass, a radio ministry of Galcom International.
If you enjoyed this podcast, we upload a new episode every Monday. You can also find us on the radio or other streaming platforms. We have a list on our website. Make sure to subscribe, follow, and share our podcast. Please rate this episode and leave a review. We would love to hear back from you. And we also want to know where you're listening from. So click Mission Compass on our website, tell us, and we'll send you Galcom's devotional, 30 Days of Faith.